Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast where you don't hinder the gender. It is now the Maharaja era in WWE. It's Lost in the Midcard. Welcome to our post NXT Takeover Chicago, our post Backlash show. I'd like to thank SpiderDuck.net for being our host, enabling us to be on iTunes and any of your favorite podcasting apps. Make sure you do a search for Lost in the Midcard and hit that subscribe button. That way you know every time a new episode comes your way. Typically every Thursday and also most Mondays after a WWE pay-per-view like this show. We are also on the YouTube, and the links to all of our subscriptions are in the notes section of our Facebook page, facebook.com/LostInTheMidcard. We are also on the Twitter at LITMC Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Bennett. You can find me on the Twitter at JB Huskers, and as always, my co-host on the show is on the Twitter at RawF Showtime. It is Mr. Matt Black. Matt, are you feeling the Maharaja?
I didn't even watch the Maharaja, so what do you fucking think?
You missed out on a good match, right, Trevor?
Yeah, you definitely did. It was actually a really good match.
The entire show wasn't good, so I refuse to believe that the main event was any good, and I don't really give a shit. I knew what the result was going to be before the fucking match started, so I didn't fucking care to watch it.
Joining us on the show, as you just heard, he is on the Twitter at Trevor Osz. That is Trevor OSZ. Mr. Trevor Osz, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Excited for the era of the Maharaja?
Yeah, I am actually. I think it was. I think it's cool. It's very reminiscent of JBL's first run.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
At least the way they're presenting
JBL actually won matches before he won the championship. This guy jobbed for 8 straight months in a row, and he's now the WWE champion. This is not JBL.
It's the true land of opportunity.
No, this is garbage personified, booked by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I guess we're going to get to see how far down SmackDown's ratings truly plummet starting on Tuesday. He wanted to make sure Raw was the A show always. Well, he solidified that tonight.
Yeah, watch they beat Raw this week. That'd be funny.
There's no way in hell. SmackDown's ratings have been going down ever since the Jinder Mahal push started, and they're only going to get worse after now.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if which way they go. Of course, we'll report on that on Thursday's show. But we do have a couple of shows to talk about here. Let's first kick it off with Backlash, the kickoff show. On the panel this evening were the beautiful Renee Young, Booker T, and Peter Rosenberg. And pretty decent little kickoff show, running down everything. And they had Sami Zayn in the social media lounge, and one match on the pre-show. Aiden English, Ty Dillinger. And I really enjoyed Aiden English's entrance to the ring tonight. I thought it was a pretty cool entrance, Matt. What did you think?
This is what he used to do in old school NXT pre-Vaudevillains. They put him in the ring in the center. They put the spotlight on him. He did the whole WWE thing. So they let him do the whole thing. I think basically because it was his hometown, even though he buried the hometown.
Yeah.
And plus it was the pre-show, so they had time to give him a full entrance. So yeah, that's pretty much what you would have seen back in the days of old school NXT before the Vaudevillains were a thing. I think it's cool they're letting them do something after they fired Gotch. So
and immediately
I don't have a problem with Aiden English at all.
And immediately so too, not just having him sit on his hands for months before thinking of something. So they already had something ready to go. So that's good for him. Trevor, what were your thoughts on the Aiden English entrance?
I think it serves him better. Honestly, I think he might be better off being a singles guy than he was as a tag team with the Vaudevillains, at least how we saw the Vaudevillains end up.
Yeah.
So he might end up in in the same position either way, really, just towards the bottom of the card. But either way, I think he's better off as a singles guy. He definitely has more personality as a singles guy.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with him. Hopefully it does lead to something down the road. But he ran into that undefeated juggernaut in Ty Dillinger tonight. The Perfect 10 undefeated so far and got a very huge Chicago welcome. I think I said this on the last show. Breaking down the card, I said this was a great one to put on the kickoff show because, Chicago's going to love them some Ty Dillinger. Be a great way to get the energy up on the match. And then, of course, we found out later that Ziggler and Nakamura were going to kick off the show. So this was definitely a great kickoff match to warm up the crowd. I thought English and Dillinger had a pretty solid match. They put together an 8-minute match. Finished with Ty Dillinger's modified new edition of the tiebreaker where kind of ends up in a face plant rather than on the back of the head. And so Dillinger, the 1, 2, 3, he continues his undefeated run in the main roster. And I don't know, Matt, do you see him continue this streak maybe towards a future clash with maybe a Kevin Owens for the U.S. title?
All right. Well, if I'm Ty, I'm just hoping to enjoy this while it lasts.
Yeah.
Because the way he's pretty much doing the reverse of what he did in NXT right now. He couldn't buy a win down in NXT, unfortunately, but he's won every match on the main roster since he's been called up. So hopefully it continues for him. But you never know, when they're just going to get bored of somebody. And it's very clear they decided to change the tiebreaker because the tiebreaker is one of the regular moves in AJ Styles' offense.
Mm-hmm.
And they just basically, I'm sure they asked him to modify the move. So,
yeah, very similar to the
AJ wasn't doing it. Yeah, so AJ wasn't doing a mid-match move, which is Ty Dillinger's finish. And AJ did hit that move on KO later in the evening. So, it's very clear that's why Ty, changed up the move. But I don't have a problem with it at all.
No, I like the modification. I like the modification.
Yeah, the modified's cool. I hope it continues. I could definitely see him in a tag title feud or a United States title feud. I know he hinted at maybe going in Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's ready for Money in the Bank yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But but hell, Jinder Mahal's the WWE champion, so I guess James Ellsworth could be in Money in the Bank too.
Yeah.
So we might as well just put a whole bunch of jobbers in Money in the Bank and let the dice fall where they may.
Jobber in the Bank. Yeah, if James Ellsworth was in Money in the Bank, he probably would have ended up like one of the Singh brothers. When Orton basically dropped him on his head on the announce table. Orton even noticed he kind of was a little aggressive on that move with his facial expressions.
I've seen that GIF all over Twitter. It's fucking hilarious.
I need to see the GIF version. I've not seen that.
No, it was all over my timeline. So it's out there. There's no way you won't be able to find it if you go looking for it.
Backlash's main card starts off with Dolph Ziggler, and followed by the epic entrance of Shinsuke Nakamura. Gigantic ovation blowing the roof off the Allstate Arena in Chicago. Loud Nakamura chants. This was a rather lengthy match. I thought it was a good match, to be honest. I know you didn't really want this to be a long match, Matt, but were you fine with what happened between these two?
If this was a match in a vacuum, it would be a really good match. My issue with it is Ziggler, he's not down on the level that Jinder Mahal was, but he's pretty damn close. Ziggler's been scorched earth all year. He can't beat anybody. He barely beat fucking Sin Cara on SmackDown a few weeks ago. And then in Nakamura's debut, he takes him to the limit. And the reason I have an issue with this is the fact that a very small portion of the average WWE viewing audience, unfortunately, watches NXT. Like, let's say let's say on average 3 million people watch Raw every week, maybe, and I'm being generous here, maybe 1 million people watch NXT a week. So, like, you know, 2/3 of your audience don't know anything about this guy at all. You know, they just know what they've seen on TV. So you hype this guy's debut up, in-ring match for a month and a half, and he goes 20 minutes with a guy who can't beat anybody. To me, while the match was good, I think this match should have been a Nakamura showcase, and I honestly think Nakamura should have flattened him in about 3 minutes. And he should have made it a more impactful debut like that, because for the people that don't know Nakamura, and those aren't the people listening to this show. Everybody that listens to this show are you know, diehard wrestling fans. We all know who Nakamura is, and we all know that the match itself was good. But to the average WWE fan who had to watch that match tonight, probably just like, this is it. This is the guy. You know, he can barely beat Dolph Ziggler. You know, what makes anybody believe that this guy, you know, could compete for a major title going down the line?
Well, I think a lot of it was they obviously want to just push the fact that he's never been on this level of professional wrestling before. So I think that was probably the gist of why they put him in a 16-minute match with Ziggler, because they know Ziggler's a good worker. And I guess they just figured it would make sense for his first match on the big stage to have some kind of a test to it, I guess. And so I'm not too worried about that part of it. I mean, Ziggler has... I
mean, they haven't presented him well since he's come up.
Yeah. And
I was really hoping for a statement match tonight, and it really wasn't. They've done better at establishing Ty Dillinger to the average WWE audience viewer since WrestleMania than they have Nakamura.
Definitely
because Ty's going out there and beating people in 2 to 3 minutes, and he's dominating, and he's looking good, and people are like, wow, who's this guy? You know, 10, you know, he's going out there and he's beating everybody, and he's beating them handily. You know, tonight was the first night where, like, he actually had a match that went more than a few minutes, and he still, you know, came out looking good, and he still won. I don't think they've handled Nakamura's main roster stint so far well at all. And to me, it's just this, as a huge Nakamura fan, it's just disappointing. And I really hope that things now that they've got his debut match out of the way, that hopefully things change going forward and things get better for him as the time goes on the SmackDown brand.
Trevor, do you share the same sentiment as Matt with them going 16 minutes and Nakamura, you know, looking close to defeat a few times, or are you fine with how they did this?
I just wasn't into it, I guess, as much as I thought I would be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just something about the match where I just didn't like. You go into it, you kind of know what the result's going to be. And you knew Shinsuke Nakamura wasn't going to lose to Dolph Ziggler, because Dolph Ziggler doesn't really win anything important.
Exactly.
So it's one of those things where, like, I really wish it had been kind of like a shorter match and a display more of what Nakamura can do than just, you know, what we got. And I don't know. I just, like, wasn't, like, once, like, Ziggler was kind of in control for a lot of that match, I just kind of, like, shut my brain off a little bit, and you know,
because you knew what was going to happen,
right? Yeah, and I'm not trying to take a dig at Ziggler or anything. Like, it's just the way he's always presented in the position he's in. It's nothing that he personally did. It's just the way things are, you know. Yeah, exactly.
And the creative on that is the same reason I have an issue with what happened in the main event. It all comes down to creative. I have nothing against Jinder Mahal. I really don't. I don't care about Jinder Mahal one way or another. But the fact is, WWE Creative's booking over the past year since the brand split has happened and they rehired him has done absolutely nothing to make me give a damn about this guy, and now he's the WWE champion. And that's the problem.
I mean, I don't disagree with you fully there. Yeah.
It's creative.
I don't disagree with you there. But we'll definitely talk about more.
Oh, I know we're gonna have a crazy debate when we get to the main event. I'm fine with that, but it is what it is.
Do you guys take any solace in the fact that Nakamura didn't show everything in this match? And so,
I don't think he needed to show everything.
He didn't, yeah. But do you guys take solace that at least, he didn't show everything, so in the future you might get, what we want to see out of him?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I don't think every dude should just go out there and throw everything out there, because then it just becomes a greatest hits kind of match. Or a dive. Like, and you know what? People are giving Randy Orton shit about that, but like Randy Orton, even though he was a dick about it, which we can all agree with there, he's right to an extent.
Matt and I actually kind of laughed at his apology. We thought it was kind of funny. So
yeah. I mean,
my whole thing is like, and I said this on the last show. The only issue I had about what Orton did was calling out Bully Ray for absolutely no reason. I thought that was just borderline lowbrow, immature. Mm-hmm. Everything else that he did, I didn't have an issue with it at all. That's just you speaking your mind. That's fine. Yeah. But to call out Bully, who didn't even tag you, and I mean, the dive thing was being talked about by every wrestling personality and wrestling fan on Twitter. And for Bully to do that,
there was a sign tonight.
Yeah, and for Orton to target Bully like that, that's what I had an issue with. Yeah. I didn't have an issue with anything else Orton said.
Yeah, I did. So, and at first I thought it was just a little playful rib between the two, but it sounded like it was not quite that. So.
Yeah, apparently there's some issues that go way back, but anyway.
Yeah, they apparently had buried the hatchet, and that's what made me think, oh, they're just bullshitting with each other, but I guess not.
Yeah, so
it doesn't seem that way. Not from what Bully said on Busted Open Radio.
Yeah, we get a replay of last week's Fashion Files when Tyler Breeze went undercover as a janitor in that hilarious skit. The day one is H. And that leads us to our SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Usos and Breezango. And Matt, to me, this is where when comedy is done right, it's good. I know that there's a book full of instances where creative tries to do comedy and it is fucking terrible. To me, I thought this was an instance where comedy done right, it was pretty good, and I thought Tyler Breeze was phenomenal in this match. What were your thoughts on that aspect?
Dude, I like Breezango a lot. I tweeted before the match, I wanted to see them win the titles, but I knew they weren't going to. Mm-hmm. With the New Day on the horizon to the SmackDown brand, you got to have heels holding the tag titles right now. But, I thought Breezango made the most of their opportunity. They were funny. They worked the match really well. They didn't look weak and losing either.
No.
It's not like they got owned by the Usos. The Usos pretty much escaped with a win.
There's some good near falls in that match.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I laughed a few times.
Love the Let's Go Grandma. I love the Let's Go Grandma chant by Chicago. That was great.
Yeah, it was fine. I didn't have any issues. I really didn't have any issues with this match. I had a lot of issues with a lot of stuff on the show. This match really wasn't one of them. And it was the result was expected with the New Day coming back.
But I honestly think good things are ahead for Breezango, to be honest, and I think getting the opportunity to do that, to showcase that on their face turn, I think it's going to do wonders for them going forward in the next year. Trevor, what are your thoughts on not just the match, but a lot of the comedy aspects, especially from Tyler Breeze?
Well, I think the comedy stuff was actually done really well in WWE for once, because WWE tends to not do comedy too well a lot of times. But here's the thing about pro wrestling: when sometimes it just has to be fun, and that's exactly what it was in this match. And I've seen a lot of good comedy stuff on the independent level from a lot of guys that can do it well. And this is almost in a way, it's it's not going to be quite as good, but it's kind of almost reminiscent of guys like Cabana or guys like Marion Fontaine, who can consistently come out and do a comedy match where you still believe that they're good at what they do, but at the same time they make you laugh and have these comedy spots in their matches. And that's exactly what this did. Like it was comedy, but they also had a really good match to go with it. So I think it worked well.
The tail end of the match, Jay accidentally super kicks Jimmy in the mush while he's up on the turnbuckle, and Breeze then hits the Unprettier for an excellent near fall. I honestly thought that could have been a win for Breezango. Then Breeze gets dumped over the top rope, and Fandango hits a beautiful dive over the top rope. He got ups on that one, and he went back up to the top rope. The Usos knocked him down, and Jay hits the super kick while Fandango on the top rope, and that led to the pinfall after a 9-minute match. Good work with everybody involved. Clearly the path is for New Day to now come in as they're supposed to, I believe. Are they supposed to return this week, Matt?
I heard Kofi's cleared, and I heard they could be back as early as this week. So, I mean, they haven't announced, like WWE hasn't officially announced that they're returning this week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Usos come out and, start cutting a promo about how they're the best and day one is H. And, and Big E goes, "Oh, SmackDown Live!"
Yeah.
And does the whole New Day return and set them up for Usos and New Day at Money in the Bank.
If Kevin Owens and AJ Styles was not on the card, this probably would have been match of the night. I thought Baron Corbin and Sami Zayn was really well done. I mean, obviously, Corbin has improved by leaps and bounds since debuting on the main roster. We all know how good Sami Zayn is. And it doesn't hurt that they hit us with a surprise and gave Sami Zayn the win. We talked about it on the preview show last week. Both Matt and I predicted Baron Corbin to win because we just can't trust them to push Sami Zayn until they actually start to do so. But I thought the work was great with these guys in the ring. I felt like this was going to be Zayn's to win because Corbin had the upper hand a vast majority of the match. But Corbin, in the end, hitting a beautiful-looking deep six slam, got a 2 count, and then out of nowhere, Zayn with a boot to the face that staggers Corbin into the corner. Zayn hits a beautiful Helluva kick for the win after 14 minutes. Sami Zayn is your victor over Baron Corbin. And Trevor, what were your thoughts on this little match here?
I think it's exactly what everybody expected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a good match. I mean, that's exactly what I would expect out of Sami Zayn. I mean, I was pretty surprised they gave Sami the win, but I'm not disappointed or anything by it. No. I think it's nice to see Sami.
Never disappointed in a Sami Zayn win.
Yeah.
Matt, what were your thoughts on this one?
Going in, I was kind of thinking, my opinions over the last few days changed. I know I picked Corbin on the show a few days earlier, but I said on Twitter before the match started, I expected Zayn to somehow squeak out the win. You know how they do the good guys getting pounded and all of a sudden, they win with a small package or a roll up or something and then scoot out of the ring before they can be attacked. That's kind of how I imagined the finish of this match going. So I was very surprised to see Zayn actually win with his finish. I thought it was great. That was definitely my surprise of the night. Not that Sami won, but the way he won, to me was the surprising factor of the entire pay-per-view to me. I thought it was great. I love Sami Zayn. And if we're talking about people who deserve to be Money in the Bank, at the next pay-per-view, Sami Zayn definitely deserves to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
If you guys follow the WWE logic or the lack thereof, you notice that over the course of time, a lot of the Money in the Bank winners are on losing streaks going into the Money in the Bank match, and right now Baron Corbin is on a losing streak, so kind of interesting.
That's a good point. You know what? I'd feel a lot more. I'd feel a lot more confident about Corbin having a shot at winning Money in the Bank than I would if Randy Orton would still be the champion right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Jinder Mahal with the title right now with Baron Corbin holding the Money in the Bank. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Maybe
after
Orton,
Sami Zayn got the win, I immediately thought, because I said on the show, I think either Breezango or Jinder is going to win. One of these unexpected pushes is going to win a title tonight. And now that Breezango lost, I was pretty certain Jinder was going to win the match. So I thought, well, okay, Sami Zayn got screwed by the Singh brothers in that six-pack challenge, and that led to the Cobra Clutch Slam. So do you think maybe this is the start of Sami Zayn getting the push to the title, and he beats Jinder for it sometime down the road?
Well, you have to think Orton gets a rematch before any of that even happens.
Yeah, but
and for all we know, Orton wins the title right back, and this is much ado about nothing.
But then again, they might just have that match on SmackDown, and then
that's true.
Do Sami Zayn versus, because I could see them, but if it's Sami Zayn against Jinder, I don't think they're putting that belt on Sami. I think they're going to keep it on Jinder.
But at the same token, are we supposed to forget that Rusev won the WWE Championship match at Money in the Bank?
Well, he forgot to show up on SmackDown the next.
He was at the NHL game.
Oh, he was supposed to be on SmackDown.
Priorities, Machka, NHL greater than WWE Creative right now. I'm just curious if we're supposed to just throw that out the window and maybe are we going to get Rusev versus Jinder Mahal at Money in the Bank? Is it going to be a triple threat with Randy Orton?
I mean, they do have that history. I guess we complain about WWE not going back to that shit. But I mean, I guess if they do to an extent, then it's one of those things. But does that make Rusev a face now? Is he handsome Rusev?
I would love if he was handsome Rusev.
Handsome dancing Rusev.
Well, here's the thing. If you watch, man, this is gonna sound so terrible because I don't know why I watch this show. If you watch Total Divas, Rusev is he's super proud to be an American in actual real life. He talks about how much he loves America and stuff like that. So I think it would be interesting if he just brings out more of his real personality and then goes into that and suddenly becomes an American hero taking on Jinder.
What's funny, even taking a step further, fucking Rusev's a funny ass dude.
Yeah,
I agree.
And if they let him showcase his personality, and he comes back as a babyface, crowd's gonna get behind him instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I would totally, let's face it, Rusev's had a lot of 50-50 booking, over the past 2 years, but he's 100 times more believable as WWE champion than Jinder Mahal. If you want to put the WWE title on Rusev, I'm totally okay with that, because at least that dude has won multiple titles, and he's had good winning streaks. He's had a couple losses, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal compared to losing 8 months in a row.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Tonight's shows, or tonight and last night's shows, were brought to you by Rocket League, and they did a little cutaway to the Up Up Down channel for showing a match of 2-on-2 for Rocket League with Xavier Woods and Zack Ryder against Ember Moon and Brennan Williams. And Brennan Williams from NXT.
The Great Black Otaku!
And
making his WWE debut in a commercial for Rocket League. Why the hell not?
How about that? And the return of Zack Ryder. Woo woo woo.
Dude, that guy's gonna be a star, man. I'm telling y'all
Brennan?
right now. If you have not seen his work,
I've seen some. You showed me some of it.
Yeah, that dude's gonna be a star, man. He's gonna be a big deal in a few years.
A couple limousines pull up to the arena. Singh brothers are in one of them, and they get out and grab a carpet from the back and put it in front of the limo door behind them for Jinder Mahal to step out. Dasha Fuentes gives him an interview. Actually, quite interesting that a fair amount of Chicagoans were cheering him when he came out of the limo there. James Ellsworth made his entrance out to the ring and says he's the Michael Jordan of sports entertainment. Yeah, I'm not quite thinking that's right.
I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It led up to the 6-women tag match between Naomi, Charlotte, Becky, Natalya, Tamina, Carmella, and Man, I don't know. I just couldn't get behind this match. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It just didn't. It just didn't have any energy.
The six didn't seem to gel very well together.
No, it just didn't have any energy to it for me.
To me, there just wasn't a whole lot of flow to the match, and I thought the finish was very, like the women's match at Takeover. I felt this finish was very anticlimactic.
Yeah,
and I was like, wow, that's the finish. That's what you're going with. Okay, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, the most exciting part of this whole thing was like Naomi's entrance. That was about it. Trevor, what were your thoughts on the 6-woman tag?
Well, this is the match I almost fell asleep during.
There's your rigging endorsement.
And it's nothing against any of the women because
No.
I think when they have a good storyline and when they actually let the women have good matches, like I care about it, and I'd much rather see good women's wrestling a lot of times than I'd rather see half of what the other part of the men's roster does. To be completely honest with you, it's just
true.
The story behind it, I just don't care about it at all. Like, I have zero interest. It's just not like, it's not a compelling story to me. So, and then you're just like, hey, we're gonna have a six person tag, and I'm just like, I don't want to see a 6-person tag. Like,
Yeah.
like
The only
like,
the only thing that would have made that compelling is if they did turn Becky Lynch heel. You know.
Well, they could have just turned Charlotte heel again.
Well, then she'd be like, yeah.
Well, they didn't really turn Charlotte face either. She's just kind of
That's what I was kind of implying. Just solidify the fact that she's still a heel.
yeah.
And be like, I don't fucking want to deal with you guys. And just leave them behind and let them lose the match that way, and just recreate the the friction between her and Naomi. But clearly they didn't go that route. I mean, honest to God, I rather would have had them all brawling in the ring and fucking Asuka's music hit. Just come out and just lay out everybody.
Hell yeah.
And say, I'm here now, and NXT just ends up, crowning the winner of the 32 women tournament as the new NXT Women's Champion. Honest to God, I rather would have had him just do that.
Which was announced earlier that Jim Ross will be calling the action for the women's tournament.
That'll be cool.
I hope he calls it with a woman.
I hope it's him and Renee Young.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Renee Young did good commentary back in the day on like Superstars or something.
She did. She was on NXT for a while.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. She did NXT as well. Yeah, I think her and Jim Ross would be the perfect 2 people to do it. I hear they're going to have women referees too. Like, I hear like the whole thing's going to be like women up. I think that's pretty fucking cool.
Hell yeah. Hell, and maybe add Daniel Bryan to it too. That'd be a good 3-man booth. If you ever have to, because Vince has a boner for 3-man booth, so
no 3-man booth.
This is Triple H's stuff. I don't want no damn 3-man booth. It's bad enough we already got Percy Watson sticking his 2 cents in where it doesn't belong.
And I mean, honestly, Percy Watson is just the David Otunga of NXT.
Honestly, Percy Watson,
he doesn't really.
Honestly,
he doesn't add anything.
Honestly, Percy Watson.
Nothing.
Honestly, Percy Watson makes it a 2-man booth between Nigel and Tom Phillips.
Yeah,
I think Phillips and Nigel just try to talk as much as possible to not allow Percy to say anything.
And then every once in a while, I'm sure they're just like in the back, "Hey, Percy, say something."
Yeah. Match of the night, but no surprise. If you were a betting man on betting this to be the match of the night, yeah, pretty easy. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. Lots of good reactions from the crowd for the entrance of these guys. These guys went a lengthy 20 minutes in a classic match. Lots of great moves. A unique count-out finish, I must say, though sometimes I hate the count-out finish. I thought this was a unique one where Owens made AJ's foot go through the hole in the announce table, and he got stuck and couldn't get out and was counted for the 10 count. I wonder if this furthers the feud, so if that is the case, I'm fine with that too. But overall, I thought the end was unique. The match was phenomenal. I thought everything was good in this. And what were your thoughts on the finish and the match itself, Matt? Didn't like it?
Let me formulate my opinion. Come back to me. Go to Trevor.
Okay, Trevor.
So, obviously, I think the feud's going to continue with the way the finish happened.
Especially the little kick at the end.
Yeah, and with KO's appearance on Talking Smack, I think that just cements, especially because he was talking about how he's the best in WWE, even though, good old Pete was trying to talk about how arguably AJ Styles is probably the best in WWE right now, and KO wants to be the best.
That was so great when KO kept coming back.
It was magic. I mean, when they let Kevin Owens be Kevin Owens, it's magic.
Well, Peter Rosenberg did tweet after Talking Smack went off the air and said, "At Fight Owens Fight has every right to feel he's the best, but I simply wanted to say that he has to pin at AJ Styles org to be better, in my opinion." To which Kevin Owens responded, "Shut up. Nobody cares about your opinion. You can't even grow hair." So
that's perfect. But as far as the finish, in a way, WWE almost backed themselves in a corner just by having this match. Because I don't think you want to take the title off of Kevin Owens right now, because Kevin Owens as the face of America is fucking great.
I determined this match going in to determine what I knew the result of the main event would be. I felt if Styles won the United States Championship, Kevin Owens was moving on to feud with Randy Orton for the WWE title. At the same token, I felt if Kevin Owens retained the championship, that Jinder Mahal was winning the title. So as soon as Kevin Owens retained on the countout, I already knew what the main event was, and that's why I didn't even have to watch it. I knew what was going to happen before it did. It's just the way WWE does booking.
Yeah, and that's what I thought too. But like I said, I think Kevin Owens is in a good spot as the face of America, and it's more entertaining, I think, to have Kevin Owens hold that title than have AJ hold that title. But at the same time, they don't want AJ to lose. Although they had him lose to Jinder, but that's because they're pushing Jinder. But he didn't lose clean, so it's one of those things where it's hard for them to have AJ Styles lose a high profile match on a pay-per-view, when I think eventually they're going to push him back up to the WWE Championship. So I think it kind of comes down to what their plans are for the U.S. title and where they want to go with it.
Yeah, well, here's a question for you I'd ask Trevor. Do these guys rematch at Money in the Bank, or do you?
Are they both in it?
I was going to say, are they both in the match if they forego the title for that night? Because Kevin Owens even said on Talking Smack, it's one thing to be the United States champion, but I want to be the WWE champion, and I'll take that away from Jinder Mahal. So, does this feud continue one-on-one in the Money in the Bank, or are these guys in the Money in the Bank match?
I didn't even think about that, and I think you might be right. I think they might end up just in the Money in the Bank match, and they could be resolved. And who knows? They might even give AJ the Money in the Bank.
Well, I said this on our show last Thursday, Trevor, that I think the plan is going to be AJ wins the Rumble and gets the title at Mania. I think he's he's made Vince a lot of money.
Yeah, but I don't know if they've thought that far ahead yet.
Well, they have on the other side of the title, so.
Well, yeah, but that's because Brock Lesnar holds that title, and they only have him so many dates a year. So they kind of have to think ahead with that, because they have to know what dates they're going to bring in Brock for. Whereas with AJ and SmackDown, they can kind of see how it goes, how it ebbs and flows and stuff. And I don't think they've thought ahead to WrestleMania on the SmackDown.
That's just my prediction on how it's going to play out at this point. Obviously, that's subject to change, but
I mean, I would love for you to be right. And I think AJ is definitely in a position where he should get that opportunity.
Me personally, I mean, I'm just talking dream match here. To me, the best thing SmackDown could have by WrestleMania next year would be Styles versus Nakamura for the WWE Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be their end game. That should be they what they have planned. WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. It's Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns for the Universal title. The plan for SmackDown right now should be AJ Styles and Nakamura for the WWE Championship, and they should be booking backwards from there. because that would be, a money match. If you haven't seen their Wrestle Kingdom match before these guys both, came to WWE afterwards, go out of your way to go see Nakamura versus Styles from Wrestle Kingdom. Because if they can have a match even half that good at WrestleMania, it'll steal the whole fucking show.
Yeah, and on top of that, they went didn't they go?
I think they went almost 30 minutes. I think they went almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, about 27, I think. Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. I mean, there wasn't much build to this, but the match was fine.
It was in the original OG cool down diva match spot.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was fine for what it was. A solid match, but just nothing much to it. So it's hard to get people behind it.
You can finish.
What's that?
And poor Luke Harper botched his finish.
Yeah, well, I think Rowan was out of position.
You're probably right. It was probably a timing issue, but it still looked bad. It looked like he ended up beating Eric Rowan with a shoulder block.
Mm-hmm. And I think what this match showed is just how much better Harper is than Rowan.
Yeah, and thankfully Harper won.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like, I think if Rowan gets more time to actually, because I mean, Rowan hasn't done a whole lot of singles work, and then anytime he does, he gets injured. So it's kind of one of those things where I think he needs more work, and he needs to work with guys that'll help him improve. Whereas I think Harper could easily be in the main event right now if they gave him a chance.
And hopefully this win is the start of a push. Then
I just want to throw it out there. I'd love to see a Luke Harper Baron Corbin feud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think those two could tear the fucking house down. Some hard hitting ass matches.
Oh yeah, it'd be a fucking slugfest.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be really, really good.
I predicted Eric was going to win because they were featuring him so much, and Matt just went the opposite despite it. So thankfully, Matt was right on that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess just Trevor and I are going to talk about the main event of Backlash since Matt didn't even watch it.
Ain't nothing to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
Curtain jerking jobber is the WWE champion.
There's a lot to talk about, isn't there, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, after watching this match, I feel better about Jinder actually getting the title because I thought the match was actually really good.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. I thought.
Well, I've never said that Jinder Mahal is a bad worker.
Yeah,
I mean, again, I consistently say. I mean, people think that I have some kind of vendetta or issue with Jinder Mahal. I have no issue with Jinder Mahal at all. It's the way creative has presented him since he's been back with the company. And hell, even the way creative presented him the last time he was with the company. And now all of a sudden he's holding the same championship that Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock held. Are you fucking kidding me? It's absolutely disgraceful. And creative should be ashamed of themselves. And that's just the long and the short of it. And I guarantee everybody that's flipping their happy wigs up in the air and doing Hindu Jinder and the Mirajaha and all these stupid gimmicks that they're riding the train on Twitter right now, y'all going to be sick of them in a month. And you're going to be the same people that are questioning why he's holding the title to begin with, because all he is the new James Ellsworth of 2017.
So here's the thing. I agree that the build was sudden and it should have been built up more, and they should have given him more of an opportunity to build himself up before giving him the championship. But I think since they got themselves in that position and since he's been given the ball, I think he's done a really good job with the position that they've given him. I think his promos have been really good. I think his matches have been really good since they've done that. Yeah. And honestly, the dude sounds like he works extremely hard. And honestly, after his episode that I listened to with him and Jericho on Talk is Jericho, I knew when he was talking about what his relationship with Vince was and what his relationship with the Big Show was, I was like, they're giving him the belt. I just knew. I knew based on what he was saying. But I think that the guy has worked hard, and I think he understands his role in the company. and I think he will do a good job with what they give him. What they give him may not be great. I really hope that they do give him something, and the title is a way to elevate him and to make you believe that he deserves to be there. I think that's what they're trying to go for here, and I really hope that's what ends up happening. Because let's look at it. WWE hasn't been the best at making stars in the past, we'll even say 10 years. There's only a handful of guys. Yeah, maybe some guys should have been made a star before Jinder Mahal, but if they're doing something to elevate a new guy up, that's not a bad thing. And maybe if they take a chance with him and it works out, maybe they'll be willing to take a chance on some other guys.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But the problem is the guy's not new. It's not like Jinder Mahal debuted the night after WrestleMania. Now he's the WWE champion. The guy has a track record. Like let's put somebody else completely different in this situation. Let's say this was Mike Bennett instead of Jinder Mahal. Just for argument's sake, Mike Bennett debuts on SmackDown. He does a promo or whatever. He's here. He's I'm gonna fight my way to the championship. The next week he's in that spot and he wins the 6-way. He pins Sami Zayn after Maria holds Sami Zayn's leg. And Mike Bennett wins a couple matches, and then at the pay-per-view, Mike Bennett beats Randy Orton. I don't have a problem with that, because, one, creative has never made Mike Bennett look like a joke, and two, Mike Bennett has not been seen by anybody on WWE's eyes until he debuted with the company. So it's completely different. It's just the fact of Jinder Mahal has always been booked as creatively as a joke. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to just accept him as WWE champion. I mean, this is the same guy who, can't even beat Mojo Rawley. I guess Mojo Rawley should be the number one contender for the WWE championship now, because apparently, every time he's in the ring with Mahal, he beats his ass. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I said, creative's to blame here. It's all on creative.
On the same token, Drew McIntyre was booked as a joke ever since after The Chosen One. Obviously, with The Chosen One, thought he was going to get a straight shot into the WWE Championship picture. Drew McIntyre was basically booked as a joke for the rest of his WWE career up until he left. So basically,
that's why Drew McIntyre didn't return to the WWE roster. That's why Drew McIntyre's down in NXT right now, reestablishing his credibility under the WWE brand. It's not like Drew McIntyre came back at WrestleMania and all of a sudden was fighting Bobby Roode in NXT Takeover Chicago. See, I would have had a problem with that. McIntyre needs to reestablish. He went away. He reinvented himself. He got himself into great shape, and he's coming back and he's proven himself all over again. But if they would have propelled McIntyre right into the Takeover Chicago event a month and a half after being back, after the way he was treated in the last run, I would have had an issue with that too. But if McIntyre continues to get the push like he's getting right now, and he ends up main eventing NXT Takeover Brooklyn against Bobby Roode in August, that would have been 4 or 5 months of solid building this guy up and establishing him as the true number one contender and a threat to Bobby Roode's championship. If you wanted to do this with Jinder Mahal, him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal would have been a hell of a start that could have taken things in a positive direction for him going forward. And instead, he was made to be a laughingstock instead, and he's still a laughingstock. He's the Indian version of Seth Rollins now. The Sin Brothers are just J&J security. It's bad booking. It's bad creative. And it has nothing to do with Jinder Mahal. It's everything. This entire problem falls on the creative team of the WWE.
Well, I agree with Trevor here, where, and I think I said this exact thing on the last show too. I go, after the initial shock of him winning the six-pack challenge, I've enjoyed everything they have done for Jinder creatively, and I've enjoyed everything he has done since then. So at the same time, though he's been booked as a joke when he was on Raw after the brand split, I'm fine with what they're doing now because they've done a good job in the past 30 days with him, even though it's not been good the past few years. The past 30 days have been great and has brought us to this point. So I think with what Trevor said, what they've done since initially giving that sudden push is kind of helped justify him to be the new WWE champion.
It's not enough. This would have been a tag team title match or even a United States title match. That's one thing. Not for the WWE title. It's just it's inexcusable, lazy, lackadaisical booking, and it's typical of what Vince McMahon puts out nowadays, because Vince continues to be of the impression that he can make anybody a star anytime he wants to, no matter what he's done to them in the past. And I refuse to get on that bandwagon, because you've already treated Jinder Mahal like garbage for years, and now all of a sudden, within 1 month of being a curtain-jerking jobber, I'm supposed to accept him as WWE champion. It's ridiculous. It's crap. And it's everything that's wrong with WWE right now.
Trevor, any final thoughts on the Backlash main event from tonight?
I mean, honestly, like I think I'm way more interested in the WWE Championship now with Jinder Mahal as champion, and that's not. I'm not even being an asshole. Like, look, there's times where I'm just like, hashtag don't hinder Jinder and all this stuff because it's fun, especially the egg Matt on. That's for sure. But to an extent. But here's the thing: like Randy Orton with the WWE Championship, like I don't give a fuck. Like I haven't given a shit since Randy Orton won the title, and that's no knock on Randy Orton because like Randy Orton has good matches and he's really good about like putting people over when he needs to, i.e. tonight. But like I just like there
hasn't been anything to this reign.
Yeah, like there's nothing like at this point. There's nothing at least storyline wise that'll get me like reinvigorated into watching Randy Orton with the championship. And he's just been there so long that like it's just I'd rather him just like go out there and have good matches with people and help elevate other talent. And I think like John Cena's in that same boat. Like that's how I feel about John Cena. I think they're both like one and the same as far as that goes. So I think sometimes you'll have moments where you'll have the championship be more what a guy needs at that time to help elevate him to the next level. And I really, really just hope that this is what this is for Jinder, is that maybe he's not making the title because obviously, it is too quick. Like you're right. And the booking isn't as a whole, as a long-term thing, isn't necessarily the best thing. But I think given where they wanted to go and given where Vince wanted to go, I think this is probably a best case scenario in a way as far as the direction they started on, and it's definitely made me more interested in the championship than with Randy just holding it.
Well, and sometimes we're sitting here saying, oh, creative hasn't been good with it the past 4 months. Well, maybe this is the kick in the ass to get creative, to get good with it now, because obviously they've been good with it so far since Jinder won the number one contenders match.
And honestly,
maybe it's the kick in the ass they need.
I'm just willing to see where it goes and to see where it ends up and see if it ends up being something good. Mm-hmm. In a year, I could be saying, "Man, that was real fucking stupid," but I don't know. Like I like to see how the story plays out. A lot of times before I decide whether something's actually good or whether I'm just in the moment and like having fun with it. So like because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm having fun with it. I think it's fun to talk about Jinder Mahal and like the don't hinder Jinder and all this stuff. Like it's just kind of a fun thing to do. And like as a person, I am happy for Jinder Mahal because obviously I think the dude does work hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. If WWE tells Jinder Mahal a month ago, hey, we're going to move you to SmackDown Live and we're going to put the WWE title on you.
Right.
I mean, Jinder Mahal's not going to say, oh, no, I haven't won a match in 8 months. Why are you putting the title on me? He's going to say, hey, thanks for the opportunity. That's fucking awesome. I'm going to take the ball and run with it the best I can. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, in all honesty, happy for Jinder Mahal because the dude's getting the opportunity to do this. It's just the way that it was gone about creatively is everything that I have the issue with.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't disagree with you. I just want to see how it plays out, and I want to see if in the long term it makes Jinder Mahal a bigger star and a top heel that they can rely on the brand, whether it be SmackDown, whether they move him to Raw at some point. To have another heel at the top is never a bad thing. So I want to see where it goes.
Do you believe that's actually going to happen, or do you believe once he drops the title he's going to go back to the way he was?
It could. I mean,
if he drops the title, put him in it, and they put him in a feud with Cena, and he wins that feud, I mean, that just
I mean, I just want to see where they go with it. Like he might just end up being Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
I mean, they put the belt on Dolph Ziggler a couple times.
Well, Dolph Ziggler is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler is an absolute perfect example.
So they'll either Dolph Ziggler him, or maybe they'll JBL him.
Yeah, and I don't think either one of Ziggler's reigns were that long, if I remember right.
You know what? I'm going to put this on record right now. I'm just going to say it, and fuck everybody that doesn't like it, because I don't give a shit. You want me to get behind this Jinder Mahal push? I need Jinder Mahal versus anybody for the WWE Championship inside the Punjabi prison match.
Oh, please. Big Show. We'll trade Big Show.
You book that shit. You put Jinder Mahal defending the title in the Punjabi prison match, and I'll get behind this fucking title reign.
You know it's coming. It's coming.
There you go, WWE. You want this shit to work out. You got to bring back the Punjabi prison match.
But hey, you
know it's coming though. You guys know it's coming.
You got to remember this too, Matt. Great Khali held the WWE Championship.
No, he held the World Championship.
But it's all the same title now.
Well, now the WWE Championship is about as worthless as the Universal title right now. So, to me, as far as I'm concerned, the champions of Raw and SmackDown are Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens. Because the main titles on both brands right now, to me, to quote Tommy Lee Jones from Men in Black, mean precisely dick.
Thanks to everybody that voted.
I just think sometimes you need the title to make a guy, and instead of the opposite.
And look, if Jinder Mahal won the United States Championship tonight, I would be completely agreeing with you right now. But the WWE Championship has never been used to make a guy. By the time you win the WWE Championship, you have already been made, and that's where I have an issue.
Yeah, guys like Roddy Piper and Jerry Lawler never held that title. So
there's so many, dude. There were so many deserving guys over the years that I've watched professional wrestling that deserved a run of being WWE champion that never got to hold it. And we're in an era right now where we're talking about Jinder Mahal as the WWE champion.
Yeah,
and everybody. Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, like, who knows where it's gonna be? Like I said, he could get Dolph Ziggler, but we don't know that yet. Like I just want to see where it goes. In all honesty, I want to see where it goes, and I want to give the dude a chance to show what he can do, and I hope that it does go somewhere.
Thanks to everybody that voted on our poll at LITMC podcast. How would you rate Backlash? It was a tale of if you sort of liked it or if you hated it. As B led the way at 39%, D or F was second with 32%. C 16% and A 13%. I give it a solid B, not a B+.
I'd like to meet the 13% of people who thought this show was an A. Because man, just line up and hand Vince McMahon your paycheck every week, because you guys are just doing everything for him, hook, line, and sinker. This was, oh my God, an A. You guys are crazy. I'm sorry. I appreciate you listening to the show and voting, but if you thought this show was an A, wow. I don't even know what to say to that.
I gave it a solid B. I thought Corbin Zayn. I thought the tag match. I thought the title match. I thought the U.S. title match also. All 4 of those matches were solid. Nakamura Ziggler was solid. I thought everything was a solid B in my mind here. So overall, I thought Backlash was a pretty enjoyable show.
I'll say overall the pay-per-view was somewhere between a C+ to a B-.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put it somewhere in the middle scope. It definitely wasn't an A, but it wasn't an absolute failure either.
No.
Yeah.
Trevor, what were your overall thoughts on Backlash?
I mean, it was all right. It was kind of a lot of what I expected. I mean, I agree with Matt. You know, it's like a B-. I would say. I would more probably skew towards the B than the C, but yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. And honestly, there was only like a couple matches that I just didn't care about. So I thought overall it was pretty good. And like I said, I thought, like, honestly, like I literally thought the main event was way better than I expected. So
yeah, it was a real good match. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, that's not a surprise. I mean, Jinder Mahal can work, and if you watch his NXT back in the original NXT days, with his final with Seth, he was in the finals for the inaugural NXT Championship with Seth Rollins. I mean, the dude can work a match. The dude's a good worker. It's just creatively, he's never been allowed to be a good worker. So, who is doing what right now?
Sorry, my microphone arm fell. So.
Oh, all right.
I can't get up. While Trevor fixes his arm, Matt and I will talk about our 5 count for this month. Top 5 NXT entrances. In the past, maybe about a year or so ago, we did our favorite NXT themes, but this is our full-on entrance, the essence of the entrance, our favorites. And number 5, I will kick it off with No Way Jose. I always have a brighter demeanor on my face when that music hits and No Way Jose comes out a dancing with the the NXT universe. I do a little dance on my couch even. I'm always uplifted when No Way Jose comes out, so I've got him at number 5. Matt, who do you have at number 5?
I would like to first happily say that No Way Jose is nowhere on my top 5 list of favorite NXT entrances right now. Look, I got nothing against No Way Jose, but his entrance is nothing. There's nothing to his entrance. He just I'm sorry, Jamie. I don't even know what to say.
Matt doesn't like fun.
He does not like fun.
I feel really bad for
Trevor. What do we got? What do we got over here? Got a cup of haters?
Ain't no cup of haters. Number 5 on my list, the iconic duo of Peyton Royce and Billie Kay.
Yummy. Well, they don't do anything either. They just walk out and
nah, dude. They play. No, the two of them in tag teams have a really great tag team entrance. I suggest you go back and check that.
Jose does more on his entrance than they do in theirs. So.
I completely disagree.
My number 4 is Asuka. It's always a presence that she brings, especially to takeover shows, with the mask and the robe and the rose petals and everything. I just think the energy, the overall energy is just on point when Asuka comes out. So I have Asuka as my number 4 favorite NXT entrance currently. Matt, who's your number 4?
Number 4, I got Ember Moon.
Mm-hmm.
I think her entrance is sick. Just the entrance gear she comes out with, the way the lighting and everything's done with her red eyes. The music plays off of her entrance perfectly. I think Ember Moon's got a sick entrance in NXT.
Number 3, got to go with Sanity. I've been a big fan of these guys since day one. I think their anarchist entrance, I dig it. I always love it when the music stops and then hits back up and they kind of do a 180 and turn towards the ring and look all crazy and shit. I just thoroughly enjoy the Sanity entrance. Matt, who do you have number 3?
I also have Sanity at number 3.
Ah, attaboy. It's a cool entrance.
It is a very cool entrance.
I just love when they do the 180 on the apron. It's cool, I think. Number 2, a new gentleman on the list, Aleister Black. He is making an impact more than just with his entrance. That Black Mass kick is brutal, but the Aleister Black entrance it's amazing. The music, the song is just badass. I don't know if that's from a band or if that's created in the WWE studio. I'm not sure, but the music is badass. The calmness of Aleister Black when he gets into the ring, but not just that. Him basically rising from a coffin, or what it seems like, or rising from the dead. I remember seeing that entrance for the very first time when he took on Andrade Cien Almas at the last takeover, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is amazing. So I've got Aleister Black as my numero dos. Matt, who's your number 2?
Number 2, I got NXT champion Bobby Roode at number 2. His entrance is it's awesome, and they always have something cool for him to do at the takeover events. They always have something special. Although I felt probably his entrance this weekend at Takeover is probably like the weakest Takeover entrance he's had.
I had flashbacks of playing a rock band.
Yeah, he's had so many cool like entrances that he's done at Takeover before, and I thought this one was just kind of like the weakest effort that they put together for him. It was still a great entrance, but if you're comparing it to the other things that he's had, I thought this was his weakest Takeover entrance yet. But Bobby Roode's entrance is always a sight to behold, and definitely deserving of the number 2 spot in the countdown.
And Bobby Roode happens to be my numero uno. Though Aleister Black is awesome, it is not glorious. Bobby Roode is glorious in every sense of the word when it comes to his entrance. And it doesn't hurt to have 15,000 people singing along to your song, and it doesn't help to hear the packed crowd at Full Sail sing along to your song as well. That adds a lot to the entrance, but it's what a money-making entrance should be from a money-making player like Bobby Roode. So I've got Bobby Roode as my number 1. Matt, what do you got for your numero uno?
We've swapped, dude. I got Aleister Black at number 1. I think his entrance is extremely unique. I think if NXT was on like basic television and you were flipping through the channels, and you flipped and you saw Bobby Roode's entrance, you're like, oh, that's wrestling, and you're just gonna keep turning the channel if you're not a wrestling fan. I think if you're turning the channel and you fucking see Aleister Black's entrance, you're gonna stop and say, what the fuck is this? Who's this guy? Because his entrance is so unique and out there that it really sucks you in. His entrance is probably one of the most unique entrances I've seen in pro wrestling in a really long time. And I think it helps stand him out, and his in-ring talent help that go a long way as well. But I definitely think Aleister Black, he's one to watch down there in NXT right now, not just for his entrance, but his in-ring talent. I think he's going to be doing big things in the WWE sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think so too. I was a little surprised that you didn't have Roode at number 1, though. A little surprised. Trevor, what entrances in the NXT do strike you nowadays?
Definitely Aleister Black. I like the whole like rising out of the grave thing. It's just really cool. And obviously Bobby Roode's glorious. Your list is pretty much what I would say. Both of your lists. So.
That means we had pretty good lists.
Yeah, the Bobby Roode, it probably fell to the bottom. I still thought it was kind of cool, but yeah, compared to the others, it wasn't as epic at Takeover on Saturday. But I thought it was still kind of cool. But yeah, you're right there. It probably falls into last out of everything else he's done. So speaking of Takeover Chicago, let's cover that show Saturday. Matt, did they steal the show again?
Absolutely, NXT stole the show, and they're continuing on their streak of NXT Takeover greater than whatever WWE's main roster puts on the same weekend. It's gotten to the point where it's almost laughable at this point, where it just shows how brilliant Triple H and the creative minds in NXT are, and how inept and just absolutely ridiculous everybody is on the main roster's creative team right now, led by, Captain Senile, Vince McMahon. NXT TakeOver was awesome. Top to bottom, it was a great show.
The two-man booth of Tom Phillips and Nigel McGuinness were there. Percy was somewhere off to the side. As we kick off the show with Roderick Strong and Eric Young, gigantic Chicago welcome for Roddy. Loved it. That might tell you, well, A, he's good. B, what they've been doing with him has been paying off. But obviously Chicago, no stranger to Roddy. But at the same time, not everybody there probably were Ring of Honor watchers. But a lot of those guys were NXT watchers, and they saw these great 2-week videos showcasing his life, and it paid off dividends with an amazing response. And then him and EY, they came out and gave us a hell of an opener. I thought these guys did an amazing job. The match could have gone either way for the majority of the 14 minutes. I just thought the intensity and the brutality of the striking and everything was great. I was a little surprised that they did the backbreaker finish for Strong instead of the sick kick, but at the same time, I didn't see the pin coming there. I was kind of waiting for the sick kick, but that didn't take away from anything in the match for these two guys. So I thought a tremendous opener. I think Roddy's on the fast track to some stardom in NXT. And Trevor, what were your thoughts on the opener at Chicago?
It was really good. I think something that Roddy's been missing for a long time is more of a connection with the crowd. Like, as far as personality, like, he's always been really good in the ring, and you could always say that he's really good at what he does, and he's a good worker, and you would always want to see him wrestle. But I think the personality profile stuff that they've done with him in NXT makes you connect with him on a different level, and I think that's what's been needed from him for a while, because you kind of understand where he's coming from, why he's doing what he's doing, and stuff like that. So I think they've been doing a good job with Roddy, and it made sense to have him win. And the story of the match was really good, because it was about him overcoming the insurmountable odds against 3 guys. So
yeah, Strong didn't come down the ramp. He came from the crowd and attacked Dane and Wolf to neutralize them before going on the offense against Eric Young. But eventually Sanity would sneak some attacks in while the ref wasn't looking. But Strong was able to defend those out, get a win, and get the hell out of there before Sanity could damage him any further. Matt, what were your thoughts on the TakeOver opener?
Oh, I thought the match was great. They told a great story. Honestly, I was expecting No Way Jose to return here, being that, Sanity was the one that took him out WrestleMania weekend. He's still been working the house shows. So, I mean, as far as I know, the dude's not hurt. They just haven't used him on TV since WrestleMania. So I kind of expected Jose and Ono to come out at a point in the match to, even out the odds with Sanity. But the fact that they let Roddy beat 3-on-1 odds all on his own, that's the makings of a big push down in NXT for Roderick Strong. And, few deserve it more than that guy. He's busted his ass for years to be where he is right now. And I'm really happy to see him, finally getting, this push in the national spotlight like he's getting right now in NXT.
Good old JR Jim Ross was introduced to a gigantic ovation from the Chicago crowd as he and Nigel McGuinness will call the action for the WWE United Kingdom Championship between the champion Tyler Bate, the challenger Pete Dunne. And if there was any kind of commercial to further the United Kingdom show that's upcoming in the WWE Network, this 16-minute match was one fucking hell of a commercial for what they are going to do with the United Kingdom group here going forward. This was literally a match of the year candidate between these two gentlemen who are only 20 and 23 years old, combined age of 43, which is younger than Jericho, by the way. These guys are way too good for as old as they are. They told a hell of a fucking story. I fully expect this match to be on my list for match of the year when it comes to the marquees and NXT. It just these guys just pulled out all the stops and some just some awesome wrestling. Different style, obviously, with the UK too, so it's kind of unique and fresh for those that may not have seen it as well either. But these guys put on a hell of a show, and like I said, it's a hell of a commercial for their upcoming show. Matt, what were your thoughts on the UK Championship match?
Oh, the match was incredible. Both guys busted their ass. Matt, you couldn't have had a more perfect match. I mean, the match was perfect. I can't think of anything that I can nitpick or pick apart the match or anything like that. The only sad thing about it is it really just shows how much better the 205 brand could be if they let Triple H book it and do the tapings out of Full Sail than it is right now on the main roster being overseen by Vince. And it just kind of sucks because, you know, I feel so bad for those cruiserweight guys because don't tell me that a good portion of the 205 live roster couldn't put together a match like that if they were allowed to, and I think that they could, but they're just not given that opportunity from the way that they're being presented, and it just kind of sucks. You know, I mean, it's great for the UK brand, and knowing the fact that I would have to guess that Vince's hands are going to be as far off from a UK brand as humanly possible is probably a really good thing for everybody involved.
Yeah, I think a lot of the hands will be Triple H and a lot on with Regal. William Regal as well. One part of the match that I thought was amazing was an airplane spin. You wouldn't think that would be an amazing, but as fast as Bate was spinning around, I was like, holy crap, that was awesome. Trevor, what were your thoughts on the UK Championship match?
I mean, there's nothing that I can say that you guys haven't already said. It was an amazing match. I mean, the fucking Tyler Bate's 20 years old.
I know.
I mean, like fuck.
Just turned 20, by the way.
Like, that kid is just so good. Like, and so is Pete Dunne. Like, those guys are so good. Just imagine, like, you think about a wrestler's prime, and it's usually like 30 to 35. And, like, these guys are still, like, 15 years away from that. So just think about where they're going to be at that point.
Yeah, so good stuff going forward for them. Next up is the Triple Threat Championship for the women. Asuka, Ruby Riott, Nikki Cross. I thought this was a pretty solid match. I agree with what Matt said earlier. The end was a little weird. That the running knee strike hit Ruby and like it wasn't enough for Cross to wake up and get out of it. I thought the ending was a little weird. Outside of the ending, I thought the action was good in the ring with all three women. I thought all three women showed up and did well. But outside of that, just a weird finish, but kind of no surprise that Asuka's the champion there. Trevor, what were your thoughts on the ladies here?
I thought they had a really good match. It's worth checking out. I mean, I think the finish, at least seeming weird, I think it was just the timing thing. I think the timing was a little bit off. But if it wasn't for that, I think it worked. And Asuka remaining as champion is exactly, I think, what everybody expected out of that. Not saying that the other two women couldn't have captured the championship and done well with it, but you know, at this point, Asuka's probably not going to lose that till she loses it to Ember Moon, or, well, who knows? If Ember Moon's actually out for 6 months, maybe someone else will get the shot, but who knows? I mean, they might not be looking to bring up anybody else anytime soon, so we'll see what happens there.
Matt thinks there's a possibility that she could go undefeated in NXT. Do you think that's an option too?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Again, it just depends on what they see for their women's divisions on Raw and SmackDown, and where they're going. At least, especially going towards SummerSlam, because that's going to be around the same time that they're doing the women's tournament and stuff. And like Matt mentioned earlier, they could just have the women's tournament be for the NXT Women's Championship if they really wanted to do that. So
Do you think what's the girl's name that they just signed? Is it Shira? Matt, the Japanese star.
No, they recently just hired 2 Japanese women from Stardom, and I refuse to try to pronounce either of their names right now and butcher them. But they're absolutely fantastic athletes.
Could one of them take the title off of Asuka?
They could, but they would need a build. They would need to come in and build them up. I don't think they're going to debut until I think they're going to be used in the tournament. Yeah. So I don't think there's enough time. I feel like the only person right now that's properly built up that has a chance to take it, like Trevor said, is Ember Moon. I don't think she's out for 6 months. I really
yeah. I mean,
I believe that about as much as I believe that Braun Strowman's out.
Oh, that's definitely
for 6
not
months.
true.
I don't believe that either.
But I think the only other people that I could think that could believably take it would be probably either Billie Kay or Peyton Royce.
Yeah,
and they would have to do it in 2-on-1 cheating.
Yeah, they'd have to do it in a shitty way for sure.
Well, that's the way they do it. That's how they do it.
Yeah, but the way Asuka's being booked right now, that just wouldn't work.
No, she's a heel.
Yeah, I mean, she's about as borderline as a heel as you can be right now. She's just supremely cocky and above everybody else. I mean, it kind of takes Kay and Royce out of contention at the moment, just because of how she's being booked. Their styles of how they handle things right now would clash so badly that I don't think people would understand who they were supposed to be cheering for.
Yeah. Video package for the Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark. He will be back on NXT this Wednesday, so he did have a match in front of the crowd at Chicago before TakeOver aired. So we'll see how he does there. Next up, the NXT Championship. I was surprised this wasn't last, but then what happened at the end of the show made sense to end the show. Bobby Roode, Hideo Itami, they got 18 minutes. Probably the biggest match for Hideo Itami in NXT. I thought it was phenomenally done. I loved the work on the shoulder, which enabled Roode to not be able to hit his glorious DDT at times. Working on Itami, as well, and trying to go for that, trying to tease that GTS for that Chicago crowd. But he had that foot injury, so they were teasing that many a times. I was afraid Chicago was going to get teased with the GTS so much and it would never hit. But though finally late in the match, GTS was hit, but Roode rolled out of the ring. Went for another GTS and a badass counter by Bobby Roode. He counters the GTS into a glorious DDT, rolls through, holds on, and hits another glorious DDT to get the pinfall after 18 minutes. I thought that finish was sick, but I'm happy for Itami to get a high-profile match, look good, come out of it without being injured. So I think maybe they trust Hideo down the road, maybe in the fall or early next year or something. Maybe with the title run finally. Matt, what were your thoughts on the NXT Championship?
Oh, I thought the match was really good. I think Hideo's had his 2 best matches since he's been in NXT in the last month. The one with Roderick Strong and the one with Bobby Roode. I thought they worked really well together. I thought they told a really good story. It's clear based on the WWE YouTube videos that looks like Hideo Itami is going to head into a feud with Cassius Ohno now.
Yeah, so I'm getting into it.
I think that's going to be a hell of a feud. I think those 2 guys will really be able to tear it up and tear it down. And, it's good. I think the only thing that was kind of sad, watching the match, I think as good as the match was, I don't think anybody in that crowd at any point really believed that Hideo Itami was going to be Bobby Roode for the title. No. And that just kind of sucked because it kind of took the audience anticipation that's normally so great in NXT title matches. It kind of took that factor out of the match, and that was kind of disappointing to me. But the match overall, I thought was really good, and I look forward to seeing what both of these guys do next. Like I said, I feel it's going to be Roode and McIntyre in Brooklyn. But they could go another way and swerve me by me. So we'll see where they go from here. But while the tag team division in NXT right now is seriously lacking, I can say with supreme confidence that the top of the card with the main event players, they're not lacking with main event talent in NXT right now. They've got a really good bunch of people that are all, like, if they told me tomorrow that they were the number one contender for Rude's title, I'd believe it. They've done a really good job with a lot of different people down there right now. And Rude's got plenty of challengers. He can hold that title for as long as they want him to.
Exactly. Trevor, what were your thoughts on the NXT Championship match?
I mean, the match was really good. It's one of those where, like, honestly, like, I didn't give a shit about Tommy anymore, to where I'm like, okay, I want to see more Tommy matches. Mm-hmm. Like, because for a long time, it's just, the dude would come in, get injured. Like, he had that feeling out process at the beginning that, like, it just, like, something wasn't clicking. I mean, it seems like he's clicking. He's got that confidence, and I think he's going to do well from now on. Hopefully, barring any injuries, hopefully, knock on wood. But yeah, it went from that. I was going to mention the same exact thing that Matt did, though, whereas not one goddamn person thought that Tommy was winning that title. And I feel that took away from it. But
I think it's all the more reason why they should have done the change.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they should have shocked everybody and changed the title. I think that really would have flipped the crowd out.
Is turning a Tommy heel a good thing? I think so.
I don't think they've officially established the fact that they're turning him heel yet. I think we need to wait that out and see where it goes.
But I think he'll do better as a heel than he has as a face, because as a character, I think.
Yeah, I thought he's been doing great character-wise since he came back from the shoulder injury. That unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. Again. I agree, but I just don't think he's a great face overall. I think he'd probably be a better heel.
Was Kenta a heel more times or a face?
I'll be honest, I never watched Kenta stuff, so.
Well, it's kind of like with Neville. I'm like, wow. I mean, I was amazed with his heel turn. And I think he, as Pac, I think he was heel a fair amount, and so I think that was the right thing to do. And I was amazed with the heel turn of Neville. So maybe I can be amazed with this heel turn of Tommy as well. They showed Kevin Owens sitting at ringside with Eric Thames. Then they showed Sami Zayn, Pat Patterson, and Cassius Ohno sitting in the front row as they get ready to watch the main event, NXT Tag Team Championships. Authors of Pain against DIY and a ladder match, and to nobody's surprise, this was a 20-minute classic. Props to Ellering, who is not a young fella, for getting it in there and grabbing Gargano and pulling him off a ladder and eating a super kick. So props to him for taking a little bump there. That was pretty cool. I thought the finisher, with the DIY finisher, while the ladder was around one of AOP's head, that was sick. The double dive. I was a little afraid for Gargano because he kind of overshot his ladder, but that was amazing. It was just so many moments, and a ladder match. You figure you wondered if AOP would stumble, not look like themselves, and I thought in the ladder match environment, though it's not their forte, I think they did a very admirable job, and they made it a classic match. We'll talk about the end of the pay-per-view in just a little bit, but Trevor, what did you think of the ladder match?
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. That's really the most I can say about it. It's exactly what you expected it to be. They had a killer match with Revival, and I expected another great match to happen just between Authors of Pain and DIY. And Authors of Pain have definitely learned a lot since they've been in NXT, and I think they went from a team that everybody was like, these guys, they're just big fucking guys, and there's going to be big fucking guys that do their big guy thing to being a team that's actually really good and you want to watch and see what they're going to do next.
Matt, what were your thoughts on not only the match, but with AOP retaining?
Like, going into the pay-per-view, I fully expected Authors of Pain to retain. And then when Atami and Rude went on beforehand, I'm like, are we getting a title change here? Why is this going on last?
Like Chicago's getting a treat.
Yeah, like I was really, I'm like, why is this going on last if there's not going to be a title change? Like, and I couldn't really understand it. Clearly, we understood it after the match was over. But yeah, I thought the match was great. But I mean, I expected the Authors of Pain to win, and they did. And, you know, it was funny. You were watching it back today, JB, and you were asking questions to me through DM as you were watching, and you were asking, like, the same questions that I was tweeting about as it happened, because I was like, oh, maybe this is their send-off. Maybe DIY is going up to the main roster. Well, maybe not. And then the finish of the show happened. So
yeah, I was out of town for a birthday party, and I avoided all spoilers. I did not see a single thing. The only thing I saw was I got on Facebook briefly, and I saw Trevor's post, but it wasn't even a spoiler. It was like, how the hell is Tyler Bate this good at 20 years old? So I didn't have any single thing spoilered to me, so I watched it unfold in real time this afternoon and tweeted Matt along the way. And yeah, you know, kind of the same situation after they fought each other in the Cruiserweight Classic, sitting in the ring. Ciampa hugging Gargano. Oh, speaking of which, let's go back a little bit. How about that moment when they were going to pop Ciampa in the mouth with that ladder and Gargano pushes him out of the way? And it's like, literally, the look on Gargano's face is like, oh shit, I'm taking the bullet, I'm going to die. Oh man, that moment was just sick. That was a crazy-ass moment there. But, yeah, I thought, oh, they're sending them off to 205 Live or a tag team on SmackDown, which is weird because the tag team division in NXT is very shallow right now.
It really, really is.
They hug. They walk up the ramp. They turn around to pose for the crowd, almost like a goodbye. We're going to the main roster, and then all of a sudden, Ciampa throws Gargano into the video wall. This is not our moment. This is my moment as he is beating the holy shit out of Gargano. This is how you do a heel turn, kids, because the Chicago crowd chanted, "Fuck you, Ciampa." That's how you do a heel turn, kids. Also some holy shit chants and asshole chants. That was a well done heel turn that's going to lead into a great, who knows, 3-month, 6-month feud. Who knows? It may go across a couple takeovers, and maybe hopefully it does. But Ciampa set up Gargano for a slam kind of similar to Sheamus's White Noise. Went right through some tables, off of the announce table, off of the stage. And then we end the show with Ciampa looking stone-faced and doctors checking on Gargano while the crowd chants asshole at Ciampa. Wow, I loved it. Matt, what were your thoughts on the heel turn of Tommaso Ciampa?
I thought it was fine. I mean, clearly they're not ready to bring them up to the main roster yet, so they're going to feud. And certainly it seems like Johnny Gargano's real-life wife, Candice LeRae, who worked the Battle Royal on NXT recently, I guess is going to be involved with the company going forward, because she definitely, to me, tweeted a very, storyline-like update on Johnny's condition earlier today. So, to me, that felt like, I guess she's going to be used on the blah blah blah, on the NXT brand going forward, and maybe being somehow a part of this feud too.
They should just make Candice his new tag team partner.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, WWE's not gonna do that, but they should.
Should they have broken up DIY with as thin as the roster is for the tag division?
But I mean, you don't know what their plans are. Like, what if their plans are to like debut like 2 or 3 more tag teams in the next month on NXT? So, I mean, you can say that, but like they might also have had a plan for that and known that that's where they were going. So they had, or
I was really hoping during the Roderick Strong match, I was really hoping like War Machine would come out and I'd be like, oh fuck, here we go, because Chicago would have known who War Machine was. So
yeah, so I mean, I think we'll have to wait and see what happens on TV in the next month before we can really say like, was that a good idea or not?
Because who do we honestly have in the tag division? After AOP, it's Heavy Machinery, Riddick Moss,
Insanity,
and Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli. Sanity, yeah. I mean, they don't really have them in the tag division much, though.
Well, they could, though. They could.
And you have TM61 on the outside looking in with the injury.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm hearing late this year, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how long that was going.
Yeah, it's still going to be a while.
You got the twins, but those guys are really green right now. So I mean, can't really. I don't even know their names are. So, so hopefully there are some aces up the sleeves for.
We'll see, and who knows? Maybe they have.
Maybe he reunites Future Shock. Maybe Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly come in as a tag team to start. Who knows?
Could do that. I mean, they could also just like have a couple guys who they have had doing singles that they already had plans for and have been working on putting them into a tag team. Maybe behind the scenes that obviously we're not privy to.
I've always said like I thought they did it once on TV. I think I always thought No Way Jose and Rich Swann would make a good tag team.
Yeah.
And if they totally should follow what Matt's been saying and do this at Full Sail. Then you can have a couple of those guys form a tag team in NXT too. You can have 205 live guys in NXT. There's not a rule against that. You got UK Championship guys playing in NXT, so I don't think there's a rule against it. So there's a lot of things they can do. I guess like Trevor just said, we're just not privy to it yet. Hopefully there's some stuff coming down the pipe. But I do thoroughly enjoy Heavy Machinery, but I don't see them as a top tier tag team yet. I enjoy their work in the ring. They're a lot of fun to watch, but it's.
Yeah, but you also didn't see AOP as a top tier tag team until they were. So
yeah, and they're impressive. So yeah, it's hard to tell. Well, where do we go from here? On the NXT side, what kind of program would you like to see Roderick Strong go to from here? Especially if Drew is probably going to be the guy to face Rude, or do you think maybe not quite yet for Drew, and maybe you give the other guy in that number one contendership match, Roddy Strong, a chance since he did win his takeover match?
I mean, they could go in that direction, but the problem is there's months before we get the takeover in Brooklyn. I'm sure Rude will end up defending his title at Full Sail before we get to Brooklyn. So maybe Roddy or Drew, or vice versa, are on the way to are along the way before the other in Brooklyn. So, I mean, that could easily be what they end up doing.
What would you guys like to see next with the women's division? Who knows how long Ember Moon's out, but let's. Is it basically as simple as if Ember Moon's ready, that's our next feud?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really know where they go with it, to be completely honest with you. I mean, obviously you're going to see Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross continue their thing. But, I mean, do you see them actually doing... I mean, they could do a feud and then one of them ends up taking on Asuka one-on-one, but I don't think either one of them will beat Asuka.
Yeah, I just think... They do, and the women have been kind of in the same boat as the tag division. They need to get some women built up, and they have done a good job with. I mean, Ruby Riot's been accepted already by.
Riot and Cross they've done a good job with, and I would say Royce and Kay are up there too. But the rest of them, like, I mean, does anybody give a shit about Liv Morgan? Like, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
they don't take her seriously for a contender now. And I'd like to see what they can do with Daria. I can't remember what her name is now, but I was kind of impressed with her. Kind of when they had her on TV a little bit, teaming up with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce until she got sick of them.
I mean, they have a ton of good talent, and even like the talent, like, because I know that like Kimberly had that one match that wasn't great, and you could always chalk that up to nerves or something. But if they gave her a chance, I think she'd be really well. I mean, she was the Chikara Grand Champion, for God's sake, and she had good matches with fucking Eddie Kingston. I think she can go. But I mean, you got her, you got Candice LeRae now. I mean, she's arguably a top talent, whether it's men or women. She's known for doing a ton of intergender stuff and the like. So I mean, she's really good. So I mean, they have the talent there. It's just more about building up that talent to an NXT audience that don't know them.
Matt, where do we really go with the tag team championships heading into Takeover Brooklyn?
I don't have a fucking clue, dude.
Is there just has to be an ace up? There has to be an ace up Triple H's sleeve, right?
No, it just seems like they're going to throw heavy machinery in that spot, and it's, to me, that's really very much whatever. I feel like the tag team division in NXT right now is probably the worst it's ever been. It is what it is. All their tag teams got called up. They ain't got nobody left. They
might be holding the title as long as Asuka's holding her title, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, who knows?
And for the NXT Championship, we talked about it briefly with Roddy Strong. Otherwise, Drew McIntyre possibly up there. Do you think maybe it's more than just one person in that picture in Brooklyn? Because we talked about this just a little bit ago. But Trevor, do you think it could be more? A bunch of guys in this picture with Cassius Ohno, Hideo Tommy Roderick Strong.
Yeah, I mean, they could do a 3-way, they could do a 4-way. I mean, it's have they done? Yeah, they've done a men's 4-way, but it's been a long time. Because that was haven't they?
I don't remember one.
I could have swore there was like a 4-way with Sami Zayn in it, but maybe that wasn't a title match.
The women did a 4-way.
I know the women
have done 4-ways.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I remember multi-man number one contenders matches.
Yeah, that might be what I'm thinking of.
But I don't ever remember a multi-man NXT championship match. I mean, it would be cool to be doing it for the first time in Brooklyn.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I'm thinking. They certainly have enough
talent to do it. And if they wanted Rude to drop the title there, he wouldn't even have to be pinned. So I mean, that wouldn't hurt him at all. I mean, there's several, like, the main event picture of NXT is the least of their worries right now.
Yeah.
And then they have so many people coming in now from Ring of Honor over the next several months with Donovan Dijak and Leo Rush, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole. I mean, oh my God, they fucking the main event part of the NXT roster right now is going to be ridiculously stacked. They need to worry about rebuilding their tag team division, and the women's problem is going to take care of itself with this women's tournament. This women's tournament is going to just completely refill the NXT women's division, and it might even be better this time than it was last time.
Plus, you got to think too with the women's tournament that they'll probably throw like four women that are already on the roster in there, and then that'll give them a chance to shine more, like it gave like Rich Swann a chance to shine. So you got to think.
I would say maybe like 2 or 3 people might make that you've already seen on NXT before. Maybe like a Candice LeRae.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Or a Tessa Blanchard. or something like that.
Or Deonna Purrazzo.
Or even Deonna Purrazzo.
That would be my pick.
Kind of crazy not to see her in there.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, even Triple H said on the media conference call last week that there were going to be some people in the States that deserved to be in this, but would not be, just because they wanted to make this tournament global.
Yeah.
So, I really think, that the fact that you're an American might actually hurt your chances of being in this tournament this go around. So we'll see where all this goes. I'm very interested in the women's tournament. I can't wait for the announcement of who the 32 women are going to be.
I agree. Yeah, exactly.
I very much hope Toni Storm from Stardom is involved in this. She worked actually some quote unquote NXT matches at Access over WrestleMania weekend, and I think she'd be a hell of a get for the company if she's involved in this tournament this summer. I think that would be fantastic.
Going over to the SmackDown side, Ty Dillinger stays undefeated. Probably feuding him with another mid-carder to keep his streak going, I would say. There's probably nowhere else really for him to go right now. What would you do with Shinsuke Nakamura next?
Fuck. I don't even know where to go with him. Because...
just have him beat Mahal for the title. I don't fucking care. If Jinder Mahal can be the champion, Shinsuke Nakamura can certainly win the title from him. Whatever.
They're not going to do that.
So, dude, if you told me 6 months ago Jinder Mahal would be WWE champion today,
that's true.
I would have told you, well, they sure as fuck ain't going to do that. So, I mean, let's not put anything past their quote-unquote creative teams right now.
I just don't know, because obviously, you have the U.S. title picture that's already full because, you know, the Owens and AJ thing is going to continue whether or not they have a match at Money in the Bank. And then, the title picture, obviously Orton's going to want his rematch and all that good stuff. So, I really don't... I mean, pretty much, Shinsuke is going to have to get into a feud with someone else and beat them. So... Mm-hmm. Who is that going to be? Is that going to be Sami Zayn? Is that why Sami Zayn got the win? Was so that he could lose to Shinsuke?
The only thing I could think of is that could be a SummerSlam match, maybe. I don't know. Or I think between now and then, I think my honest guess would be is they just feed Eric Rowan to him. For somebody for him to beat between now.
But who wants to see that? I mean,
dude, I know.
Just build him up. Just build him up.
He's going to probably be in the Money in the Bank match.
You don't even need to give him a solid storyline right now. Just let him go out there every week and start beating people's ass.
Especially with Money in the Bank coming up next. You're right. He doesn't really need to have a feud going forward.
Yeah, because you could easily put him in the Money in the Bank match. Just have him just beating people every single week, leading up and building up wins. I mean, that's what they're doing with Ty, and it's working. I mean, the same thing could easily be done for Nakamura.
Yeah. Tag team titles basically set up
New Day.
for the New Day. So
that's all. That's open and shut case.
The women's division, probably, I'm going to guess Carmella Naomi soon. Since she's got a couple of pinfalls on her. Because, I mean, Natalya pinned Becky Lynch. Yeah, Natalya pinned Becky Lynch, so I don't think she really has a claim to it yet, like Carmella does. So I think Carmella probably takes on Naomi at Money in the Bank. I think what we talked about earlier on Talking Smack, Kevin Owens, the fact that he didn't pin AJ now, leaves doubt that he's better than AJ. So I think that either carries over into a feud, or they both join Money in the Bank. And who knows? Maybe they carry the feud to SummerSlam. Who knows? Maybe Jericho comes in there too, and we get a triple threat with Kevin Owens, Jericho, and Styles. I wouldn't mind that at all. And then the WWE Championship. Who knows? Maybe Sami Zayn gets up in that picture since he was the one screwed by Jinder Mahal.
They could definitely do that.
Yeah, so it's hard telling. So a lot of stuff going on there. Trevor, thanks for joining the show. What are some of your final thoughts on the weekend, man?
I think it was overall a pretty good weekend. I mean, obviously NXT was going to be the better show of the two. I mean, like Backlash wasn't bad. They're just what
the records. The NXT record is undefeated still.
Yeah. So, it wasn't a bad weekend, I would say, overall.
Well, thanks for joining, Trevor. Hopefully we'll have you back here soon. And thanks to SpiderDuck.net for being our host, enabling us to be on iTunes and any of your favorite podcasting apps. If you haven't done so already, search for Lost in the Midcard. Hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends to do so as well. That way you know every time a new episode comes your way, Thursdays and most Mondays after WWE pay-per-views. Also, we're subscribable on the YouTube. If you need those links, go to facebook.com/Lost in the Midcard. Hit to the notes section. You'll find the links there. Also, we're on the Twitter. We share a lot of the tweets from the wrestling world on there, as well as our own thoughts. Go to LITMC Podcast for that. And before we ride off into that sunset, Matt, what are your final thoughts on the weekend?
NXT greater than WWE. Vince can't die soon enough, so Triple H can take over everything.
For Trevor Osz, Matt Black, this is Jeremy Bennett. Thank you for tuning in to Lost in the Midcard. We'll catch you on Thursday.